Welcome back to my channel. Today we are covering part 2 of the House bill that is eliminating property tax here in Florida. That's House Bill 1371. So let's get into it. So the last video we just introduced the House bill and I gave somewhat of a perspective. Today I want to dive deep into the actual House bill, what it entails, and just look at some of the arguments that some of the state representatives are making to support the bill, and then what the House is the argument they're making against the bill. All right. And so let's get into this. So first and foremost, all right, here. So I quote, all right, if adopted, the policy would make Florida the first in the nation without state income or property tax. A controversial idea is again gaining ground in the legislature, eliminating property taxes and replacing them with a new consumption tax tacked onto the sales and goods and services across the state. The change, said Republican Representative Ryan Chamberlin, would put an end to what some have called the most hated tax in America. I believe it's time to hold members of the House, Ways and Means Committee, which voted 15-6 for a measure of House Bill 1371. Chamberlain is sponsoring to study shifting a huge tax burden from homeowners to consumers. All right, now I'm going to read through this article because I want you to understand exactly what their perspectives are doing this whole back and forth, and now it's into an actual review. But I'm going to continue. All right, the change, said Republican Ryan Chamberlin, will put an end to what some have called the most hated tax in America. I believe it's time to hold members of the House Ways and Means Committee, which voted 15-6 for a measure of House Bill 1371. Chamberlain is sponsoring to study shifting a huge tax burden from homeowners to consumers. If passed, this bill would direct the Office of Programs, Policy Analysis, and Government Accountability to examine the likely impact. A report would be due by February 1st. All right, February 1st, 2025. Now, let me add something. Now, we're going to go and actually look at the actual bill that was submitted. All right, originally, the bill, this report was due on July 1st, 2024. Now, this article is referencing that the bill has already passed some level of approval. All right, and actually, the new amended bill that's now requesting a report due by February 1st is actually showing favorable, all right, by the House Ways and Means Committee. All right, so let me continue. Chamberlain, a freshman Republican lawmaker from Bellevue, offered 2 reasons property taxes needed to go. The first, he said, is that they create an arrangement under which homeowners never truly own their domiciles. So that means homeowners never really truly own their homes. All right. And so, quote, we all simply rent from the state. As long as we pay those rents, then we can use the properties we hold a deed for, he said, end quote. And the quote again, this is not a tax, it is slavery, end quote. See, the second reason, he continued, is that property tax increase regardless of whether homeowner sells their house because the rate is based on unrealized gains, an arrangement ludicrous in most other scenarios. Quote, think about it. If the IRS started charging us a tax, not just on your income, but on what they thought we have earned, we would have riots in the streets, he said. Yet we get the property tax increase every year on most of our properties in Florida, not based on any realized gain in our bank account, but based on what the gain would be if we decided to sell it. Now, Chamberlain said that if Florida adopts the change his bill contemplates, it would not just be the most prosperous state in the country, but the most prosperous economy in the world. Some of the panelists were less enthusiastic. Now, Orlando Democratic Representative Anna Escamani said local governments would have less incentive to maintain property values under Chamberlain's proposed tax model. She also noted that state lawmakers shot down proposals like decades ago when U.S. Senate Marco Rubio and U.S. Representative Dan Webster served as speakers in the House of Florida, in the Florida House. Webster said rejected. Webster, she said, rejected it as not a good idea, because depending on too much of a single revenue source, particularly one reliant on spending, is unsustainable in times of economic recession. When gas costs more, you drive less, she said. And honestly, at the end of the day, if you don't diversify your income streams, we're putting ourselves in a place of economic crisis intentionally. She suggested a more comprehensive study of the tax alternatives, calling Chamberlain's bill way too targeted towards what has been already proven by economists, even conservative economists, as not being a smart direction to go. All right, Boynton Beach Democratic Representative Joe Casillo, who voted no on the bill alongside Republican Representative Sam Killebrew and fellow Democratic Escamani Deanne Hart. So let me read that again. Boynton Beach Democratic Representative Joe Casillo voted no on the bill alongside Republican Representative Sam Killebrew and fellow Democrats Escamani, Diane Hart, Allison Tant, and Susan Valdez, worried how the changes would affect first responder services. He also argued Floridians aren't necessarily losing their homes because of property taxes, but because homeowners insurance, on which a study is more merited. And that is true. They have a great point here. Now, at the end of this article, we're going to go and view the actual bill itself. And then at the end, I'll give you my take on this proposed bill. All right. Valdez added that leaning more heavily on sales tax revenues would disproportionately hurt lower income residents, from whom the cost of goods and services make up a larger portion of their income. Their sentiments echoed local officials' concerns about similar proposal in Michigan, where the revenue burden would shift from property taxes to income sales tax. An independent 2017 examination of the repeatedly proposed plan in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, to kill school property taxes determined it would create a windfall for businesses and wealthy school districts while costing middle-class taxpayers more. According to the Tax Foundation, Florida ranks 26th nationwide in property taxes paid as a percentage of households at 0.91%, and 29th in state and local property tax collections per capita is a total of $1,541. See, property taxes in Florida is the second largest source of per capita revenue after federal transfers, according to an analysis of U.S. Census data by the Urban Institute, a Washington-based think tank. West Palm Beach Republican Representative Rick Roth said he is beyond excited about Chamberlain's measure, which he believes has support from House leadership, including Speaker Paul Rayner and Speaker-designated Daniel Perez. He posited that unburdening properties from taxes would have a multiplier effect, leading to a larger rate of homeownership and more economic security, and also will lower the cost of rental property because the rental property owners won't have to pay property taxes, he said. Good perspective. Deltona Republican Webster Barnaby heaped further praise on the House Bill 1371, which does not have a Senate companion, according to the Chamber's website. We've got to be able to live in our homes and one day know that we own the house, he said. This is not about how we take care of cities and municipalities. This is about fundamental fairness to Florida taxpayers. Do you own your house? That's the question. And I want to know that every Floridian that pays their mortgage owns their house. So they have support for this bill. All right. You have a Deltona Republican. You also have West Palm Beach. West Palm Beach Republican representative. So you have some support for this bill. All right. House disclosures show that Florida Association of Property Appraisers and Property Appraisers Association of Florida, Florida Associations of Counties, and Osceola County lobbied on House Bill 1371, which has two more committee stops before reaching a floor vote. All right. So now you can see their point of view as they go back and forth in support of the bill and some who are against the bill. Now, there's a couple more stops before this bill actually goes to the floor vote. But let's go ahead and take a look at the actual bill itself. All right, so the bill, let's see here. Yep. So the bill initially was submitted. It had 4 sections. All right. The first section, it it posed for an exemption on all real property in accordance with Art was it 7 of state constitution, basically eliminating $100,000 of real property value from all taxation. And then section 2 of the bill, it also posed that for a homestead exemption for persons of age 65 and older of up to $250,000 of value of homestead will be exempt from all property, all taxation. All right, so those were 2 sections that was part of this bill. Now, on this bill was originally submitted, all right, on January 5th. Now, on January 31st, there was a ruling and an update to the bill. And that ruling and update gave us only 1 section that was left. That means the other parts of the bill was already approved. So those first 2 sections were already approved. Now, the third section of the bill was the bill about removing all property taxes, right? All taxation. That was resubmitted out and removing the approved portions of it. And so now we're just left with basically 2 sections. The first section of this one is remove all property taxes, right? And then the House of Representatives have, they have up until February 1st, 2025 to actually submit the findings, right, to the Senate, to the President of the Senate, and then the Speaker of the House of Representatives. And then in section 2, it says this act shall take effect upon becoming a law. And now when this bill was resubmitted, right, when you go to the actual website, all right, this bill was resubmitted as favorable. All right, so it was actually resubmitted, as you can see right here, on January 31st as favorable with the Ways and Means Committee. All right, so there's a lot of people out there that made comments on the original part 1 of the video, pretty much stating that this would never happen, right? It would never get passed. Now, I'm not saying that it will get passed. I'm not saying that it won't get passed, but my perspective on the bill is this, right? A lot of feedback I got about the bill was that it will be tough to actually remove all property taxes because property taxes have so much to do with the schooling, right? The funding for the schools. I actually have some notes from some of the people that gave me feedback before. All right, schools will be affected, right? Charter schools will be affected. What else? Also, the public safety, having proper funding, but if I like to be optimistic, all right, if this bill should pass, what will happen? Because we can't act in a way, or we can't, hope that the bill doesn't pass because of all the things that we think that would be affected by it. Because they're doing a study right now, and they're trying to figure out exactly what would be impacted should this bill pass, and then what would actually supplement. So that consumption tax. So what the lawmakers are expecting is that we're going to have, because Florida will be one of the strongest economies in the world, right? We will see an influx of people moving to Florida because Florida will offer true home ownership. All right. I expect to see a lot of people, relocating their funds and investments to Florida, as Florida being looked at as the gold rush, right? As a gold mine, to really have a piece of, generational wealth. And with that, I would expect to see, I would expect that with the passing of this bill, that we will see our population here in the state of Florida multiply. I would see temporarily a somewhat of a fix for affordable housing, very, very short term though, because I expect that, the affordability part of it, I think that the values of the homes are going to increase because of the demand. I also think that, it could possibly stabilize rents, because one of the perspectives that was noted and highlighted that, investors, property taxes won't be going up. So therefore it could stabilize rents. So therefore rents won't be going up. There will be a concern about insurance though, right? There could be some concerns about insurance, but property taxes won't be a factor. The big one that raised the eyebrow was, being taxed on unrealized gains. The IRS doesn't tax you on income, unless you've made the income. And property tax increases is it's like taxing you on unrealized gains and taxing you as if you was to sell the property, liquidate the property. And so I think that's an important part to look at. And the fact that they're making the argument is that, property taxes is like slavery. And I just want to know your thoughts. Please, please, please leave your comments. Leave your thoughts in our comments below, because this is one of those topics that I think we need to have an open discussion about. And I would love to get all you guys feedback. Do you actually think home ownership, right, property taxes, is like slavery? Like you're renting your property that you have a deed for. You're renting it from the state. And should you not pay your rent, the state will come and sell your property, even if you own it free and clear for your of any mortgages. This is an important standpoint because a lot of people do have that perspective that you're never really a true homeowner, because property taxes still exist. There's some form of debt that's still allocated to that property. And even if you own a home free and clear, you would still have to, we would still take account when you're applying for a mortgage for a new property for HOA, right? The HOA dues, property and property taxes. All right. And then also the insurance on the property. But there's still debt associated to it that's applied to your DTI. So, I would like to say that I somewhat agree that you are never true 100% free and clear owner of your property, because there is some debt that's always associated to the property. But I want to know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think there is a such thing as true home ownership here in 2024? And if this bill should pass, who do you think will be affected? Do you think this will create affordability, sustainable rental rates? Or do you think the rich and the wealthy will flood in, fill their pockets, or not fill their pockets, but load up on real estate, right, and corner the market to make the market unaffordable? And if you're on the sidelines right now, how do you think this will impact you and your family? Will this bill, if passed, put you and your family out of reach of home ownership? I think it's a question we all have to ask. And I would love to know your thoughts in the comments. If you like this video, please be sure to hit that like button down below. And if you want to get more updates about the real estate market and more updates about real estate news, please be sure to subscribe to our channel. All right, if you're in the market to purchase real estate, sell real estate, relocate, downsize, invest in real estate, my team looks forward to earning your business. All right, please be sure to click that link below. Schedule a 15-minute free consultation. Look forward to speaking with you on the other side. Until the next video, I'm Emmett Combs, broker, qualifying broker for Combs Spring Realty Group, and we'll see you soon.